The Florida State Seminoles score a quarterback commitment. They get an international player, and we've got more commitment news coming down the pipe here on Locked On Seminoles.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Seminoles. I am your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football writer and recruiting analyst. Thank you for making Locked On Seminoles your first listen each and every day. Truly appreciate you stopping in to talk some Noles with me. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet is a winner. We've got a lot to talk about as I travel to get ready for not one, not two, but three different events. I'm visiting family right now. I'm in between, so I'm going to try to get as much information as I can in a 2 or 3 segment show here. But we're going to start off with Jaden O'Neal. He committed. That's going to be first. We're also going to talk about an international player that is not, I repeat, not getting remotely enough attention. This is a great story and a tremendous job by Florida State. I'm honestly probably more excited to talk about that than I even am O'Neal, because we don't get enough of these kinds of stories in society, sport, or any other way you want to put it. We're going to talk about that after O'Neal. And we're also going to do a recruiting rundown here on the Locked On Seminoles podcast. I think this is going to be the most important overview I do of the year. I do a lot of them in regards to where recruiting's at, but we're through the visits now. Just for full disclosure, before I dive into the Jaden O'Neal information, we are now officially in the quote-unquote dead period for recruiting per NCAA rules, meaning players can't go see coaches, coaches can't go see players. They can just announce their decisions. That's it. We're done. Now, what does that mean? We just got to sit back and wait for the commitments, and they are going to roll in across the country. So with that, let's talk about commitments, decommitments. We've got one of those to talk about, beginning with Jaden O'Neal, though. The Florida State Seminoles get the quarterback from Mustang, Oklahoma, originally from the greater Los Angeles area. The young man is 6'3", 215. He's got a big arm, very sharp kid, very mature, and he was originally an Oklahoma commitment. Florida State, I remember he told me a year or so ago, that was his second choice. Didn't think anything of it back then. I just remembered that earlier today. Jaden's just an A to B guy. He'd mentioned that to me. Didn't think anything of it because at the time, Florida State had a different quarterback committed. It's just everybody's playing musical chairs, as quarterbacks usually do when coaches change. Full disclosure, Oklahoma's offensive coordinator changed. That's a problem. I do not know an offensive coordinator or a quarterback coach that wants to take a quarterback before they see them throw live. I don't always necessarily agree with that. There's a few that it's just like, okay, this is dumb. It's obvious he's an elite player. The quarterback coaches are Scrooges when it comes to doing things their way. They are kicking and screaming when it comes to doing things their way. That's why a lot of them end up getting fired. They don't change very well. But at the same time, it's almost universal. And Arbuckle comes from Washington State. He liked O'Neal, but he also liked Bo Bentley, who Oklahoma just gained a commitment of. And I'm sure that O'Neal and his family knew. They decommitted shortly thereafter, as we expected. Florida State landed the commitment of Jaden O'Neal. He'd moved from California to Oklahoma. I'm curious to see what he does this year. Playing at Mustang, Oklahoma, I'm sure they didn't just pick some random program. I'd heard of it before, but I assume he's got some weapons to play with. Don't know much about the program lately, but I'm very excited to see him play there. What I do know about him is the following. I've done some other profiles, and when I get done with my trip, I'll be back about this time next week in my home in Alabama. I'm going to break down every commitment that Florida State has, but most importantly, because he's the quarterback, Jaden, I'll do a deep dive on him. I want to see him play again. There's the OT7 finals, etc. I assume he's going to be at it. And I want to see some more quarterbacks as well. This week, I'm going to Rivals 5-Star. I want to take all of the information that I have, not just parts, combine it, and then compare O'Neal to other guys to give Florida State fans a full description of what Florida State's not only getting with O'Neal, but what are we getting in comparison to other schools. So right now, here's what I have. Traditional pocket passer with movement skills to be the most annoying guy in the world. Makes the first guy miss, recalculates his footwork, and delivers the football. It's pretty much the NFL model. This is what the NFL wants because, bluntly, at the pro level, you just can't have your quarterback taking quote unquote additional hits. By all means, I get it. But Jaden can run RPO. Jaden can run draws. Jaden can run lead, counter, anything like that. That's a big dude. I've stood next to Jaden a few times. It's not like he's somebody that you would want running at you on 4th and 1 when he needs to get to that first down marker. It's probably not going to be friendly. So, in some capacity, I'm curious to see what Florida State will do with him. I'm sure you all are too. When I originally heard Florida State was recruiting him, and for what I'd seen of him, I made a misstep. I'd seen him in 7-on-7, and I'd seen him in a camp circle, like at the Under Armour Future 50. I'm getting ready to go to it again this week, ironically, for the next group of kids down in Bradenton, Florida. They're holding at IMG Academy. But they don't run. You don't get hit as a quarterback. It's all shorts and T-shirts kind of stuff. It's basic. But it's all the drills that you think of throwing the football. And that's fine because Jaden excels at it. But that's not the full display of what he can do. I misstepped because I should have evaluated it more from his high school film. You got to combine the two. How much do they run? Does it look like they could? You got to project a little bit. Run something more if that particular high school a kid is at does not really utilize the quarterback with his legs. The high school he was at last year, he ran for over 100 yards, but they weren't really trying to put Jaden in harm's way. And again, I get it. But 215-pound kids at the high school level, I'm just going to be blunt. There aren't a lot of defensive guys that want to go high on a kid that big as Jaden. And even at the college level, like middle linebacker, okay. But there aren't a ton of corners that are going to be excited about tackling Jaden. If you get him outside on a quarterback sweep in Gus Malzahn's offense, good luck. The safety, maybe. Linebacker, okay. That corner, yeah. They're probably not going to want to hit him. The 5'11", 185-pound kid, yeah, he's giving up 30 pounds in 4 inches? Probably not. There's different ways you can use him that I didn't evaluate properly when I first looked at him. But the throwing skills, I gave him credit way back when. It's still the same. He's got a big arm. He can see downfield. He's mature, like on and off the field. That's going to translate to throwing the ball well. Gus has used some quarterbacks like this, but he is traditionally better with the Thomas Castellanos variety, or at least that's what's perceived. But here's the one thing that I still don't know, and I get it. For any of you that watch the show a lot, I'm very opinionated. I'm not sure on this, but most guys like Thomas are going to get hurt during the season. They are. He's going to run a ton. He is an animal. He can play tailback at Florida State right now and compete for the starting job. He is that athletic. But he's your signal caller. If he is hurt this year, even for a game, pick one. I don't care. Even for one game. Do you feel comfortable with Florida State's depth chart at quarterback? I don't. I doubt you should either. And many of you probably don't. But again, that's each can make their own judgment on that. But when I think about Florida State's depth chart, you got Sperry coming up the ranks. He's a true freshman. He fits Gus's offense. Okay, that's great. But Brock Glenn's the only other option. And while he's similar to Jaden, ironically, in what he can do, he hasn't picked up the stuff that makes pocket passers really good. And that's all the second level and third level post-snap read stuff that made me think, okay, even though he's not a great running quarterback, will be good here. I just don't think he's ready. I don't know if he's an elite quarterback that can play at the P4 level and carry a team to a major bowl. I just don't. So if Castellanos is hurt, how do you handle that? So it brings me to this question. Is getting a guy like Jaden a decision that Florida State's looking to do going forward? They just, not that they don't want running quarterbacks, they do, but guys that are going to be better from the pocket than what they've had in the past. Remember, Jordan Travis, it took forever for him to figure out. The first couple of years that he played a lot, he wasn't good after the snap. He wasn't. And then in the middle of the 2022 season, the light went on. This stuff is really random. So Jaden O'Neal kind of fits the maturity you're looking for the pocket guy, but he can run to a certain degree. And I think it's going to be fun to see him develop and one day be Florida State's quarterback. But he's a good kid, good family. I think it'll take care of itself. So Florida State kind of pulls one out here and gets a good quarterback commitment. So that's a great story. But the next one we're going to talk about, just because it's cool. Florida State got another commitment, and we need to talk about that next here on Locked On Seminoles. Summer sports are in full swing. We got baseball, basketball just finished up. We got golf and all kinds of other stuff going on. So whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf, or anything else, soccer, you name it, FanDuel is the best way to stay in on the action. Every game becomes more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little bit more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. If you want to look at it from a baseball perspective, and I was a huge baseball guy growing up, especially like the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, parlaying something, who's going to be the pitcher that comes in to get a save, strikeouts, total number of hits for a really hot batter. He's going into the 8th or 9th game with a hitting streak, whatever it may be. There's a lot of different ways you can look at it to make games more fun in baseball. If you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. From a player that moved from California to Oklahoma, decommitted from the Sooners to commit to Florida State, this next one still takes the cake. An international player has committed to the Florida State Seminoles. It's very unique. And to be honest, I was incredibly skeptical. Yes, I am flat out a glass half empty guy. No doubt about it. With that being the case, the film does not lie. Last year, NFL Academy, it's a program overseas, took on IMG Academy. They flew over the pond, as they say, the Atlantic Ocean, to play. I didn't think nothing about it. I remember one of the guys from IMG telling me about it. I'm like, great for the kids, great for all the players, their families and stuff that go over here. Great. But that also presented a film opportunity. Florida State's latest commitment in not just a big guy. Like when I heard 6'5", 335, I'm thinking this kid's going to be real sloppy. He's not going to be a kid that's all that athletic. He's going to be a total project. But that's not the case at all. And Luke Francis, I don't know, some are projecting to play O-line, but in the game against IMG, Luke Francis played nose guard. And all IMG's linemen are going to play college football. And he was making some havoc. He was making lateral movements. I'm like, if y'all play him at O-line, by all means. Florida State's obviously struggled to recruit the position for years. It's not a news flash, especially on this channel. I talk about it pretty consistently. But with Tony White wanting to run at least some three-man line, again, we'll see how much he does this fall. You go by what happens, not by what's said. Why not put the 335-pound guy that I completely guessed wrong on at nose guard? You can never have enough nose guards, even if you're running a true one gap, get up the field 4-3 scheme, let alone one that's going to be hybrid using 2-eye, using zero tech or shade zero. Like that's, if you got a 335 guy in front of the center, he's not happy all game long. That's one more chance, two more chances. Maybe there's a bad snap. You're going to have problems getting the quarterback away from the center because the guard and the center have to either double team, or if they don't, the center gets pushed into the quarterback's face. There's all kinds of stuff. So right off the bat, I didn't even watch any film of him playing offense. After I saw the nose guard stuff, I was good. And here's why. If you're really good as a nose guard and you can make lateral movements, you're not just a stand there and hold up gap kind of thing, you can probably play any position on the offensive line outside of maybe left tackle. That's an arm length kind of thing. And at least be serviceable. No idea what Luke Francis has in terms of his ability technically to play offensive line. None at all. Haven't seen it. Athletically, he has the gifts that Herb Hand would love to work with. And if that's where they put him, that's allegedly what's going to happen. I don't know for sure. He's worked out for Florida State at both spots. I don't know what they think. But just seeing what I did athletically on that film against future Division I players on the offensive line for IMG Academy, Luke Francis is a guy. Great story. Loved this. Kid from overseas. He's from South London, I believe it is. Ends up coming to Florida State. That's buck wild. I love this. College football is the greatest sport on earth because of its randomness in culture, and it doesn't get much more wild than that. And it's not just like, he'll be a guy that special teams, maybe plays his fifth-year senior. This guy's going to be a multi-year starter at Florida State in some capacity. Again, I don't know exactly where they're going to play him. And maybe he plays multiple roles. Maybe he plays guard for a little while at Florida State, and maybe they kick him out to right tackle. Again, I have no idea. I just know he's 335 and he's athletic. You take that and you put it wherever you need. For reference, this is about as good as it gets. Fortunately for Florida State fans, Darrell Jackson is about 335. They're almost the same height and weight. Darrell's slightly taller. I'm not saying he's as physically gifted as Darrell. I need to see that at the college level. But at the same time, anything like that, Darrell would have been one heck of an offensive tackle. No doubt about it. Whatever side of the ball you play him on, thumbs up, brother. Thumbs up. So congrats to Florida State staff. That is called real scouting. Doing it when the kid comes to campus, doing a good job of getting the people that Francis deals with. And I don't know how the international game works. That's one area of recruiting I don't know. It's about the only one that I don't know much about. But whoever they had to contact and all the stuff they did, excellent job by Florida State. Back office, Norvell, everybody deserves credit on that. It's really good job. Now, here's the interesting part. That's 2 commitments you get on the weekend. Florida State also lost is an iffy word, Xavier Payne. He decommitted. Oh, well. It's not good to lose guys, but from what I'm about to say, and again, I think Francis is going to end up playing offensive line at Florida State. We'll see. Jacoby Green is kind of trending in the right direction. I'd heard this from John Garcia Jr. He thinks Florida State's got a great chance, and John knows the state of Florida like the back of his hand. National recruiting analyst, but he's based out of Florida. He's a close friend of mine. If he is right, Jacoby Green's an animal. He's another 330-pound guy. If you get that, you're in a great spot. You're in a great spot. Just a couple other things that I want to talk about before we get going. My laptop's about to die on me, and I'm on the road here. Just want to go down a quick list to end the show. Number 1, Mari Thomas, the running back. It's going to be Florida State or South Carolina. Xavier Tiller. I think this is a situation. I didn't hear anything on the Auburn side. Look out for Florida State. Alabama's the other one in play. Don't discredit FSU. Donnell Robinson out of Mississippi. That's a kid I need to hear more about. He's another big-bodied interior lineman. That would be good for Florida State. They're still in the mix. Ephraim White, I've heard different things. I don't know where he's going. I don't think it'll be Notre Dame. NC State or Florida State is my guess. Ben Babinga, haven't heard a ton. Arkansas is the school I would worry about the most. They're having a great class. How that is possible, Arkansas, considering their coaches on the hot seat, I don't know. Chris Addison, the kid from Louisiana, the defensive lineman, I don't know much about him. But his list, UCLA, Michigan State, and Florida State for a kid from Louisiana, that is bizarre. Xavier Griffin, the elite, truly elite 5-star linebacker out of Georgia. I don't think Florida State's got much of a shot there. They did get him on campus for an OB. I expect Bama or Texas. Karan Maycock, I think that will play out all the way through. We'll see. But Florida State's in a scenario where they got to keep recruiting him. He's from Miami Central. He's a linebacker that they went after forever. He's been committed to the Noles for quite a while now, but everybody's still recruiting him. We'll see. And then finally, Tadarius Hughes, I haven't heard anything about him here in the last couple of days. It makes me think that's decided, but I'd like to find out because that's a big, important recruit for Florida State. We'll see. Oh, and Jay Timmons committed to Indiana, but he has strong ties. Warren Stimmons, one-time Florida State player, his father. That could be a flip for the Nole. So I'm going to get out of here before my computer dies. But thank you once again for making Locked On Seminoles your first listen. And again, I'm going to be on the road all this week through this weekend. Got Future 50 coming up after Rivals 5-star. And then I've got OT7. So there'll be some highlights on the YouTube Shorts page next week. It won't be till next week that I have any kind of normalcy with the podcast. I'm all over the place, and hotel internet and all that's pretty crappy. So I apologize, but this is how I get the information that I do, face-to-face interviews. There is no replacing face-to-face interviews, and that's what I'm going to do. So everybody have a good one. We'll see you again soon here on Locked On Seminoles.